Okay, hello, hello, hello. So, this is the probably pushing over an hour worth of patterns that I have recorded videos for. So, if I am not the most like crisp in my words, that is why. So, hello. I am going to be going over the 2021 Minnesota State 4-H Horse Show pattern for trail. For trail, there's no champions class, simply due to the amount of time it takes to set up and move everything. And for the two trail classes, I'll be going over both patterns, although there's really only one difference. We will see that shortly. My name is Madison. You can read who I am. So let's start getting into the important stuff, shall we? So, always ask yourself, what is the judge going to be looking for? Next, what's going to be difficult or easy in the pattern? I will say, looking at the patterns, I was very, 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 very times like 20 happy to see the pattern. Where do I need to be when? This is especially important in trail because you have more obstacles and things that you need to navigate over rather than just around, air quotes, around a cone. And also, how are you planning for success with the pattern? How are you going to set your horse up to succeed? How are you going to give them enough space in the pen? How are you going to make things as easy as possible for your horse and you? Checklist before you go to the warm-up pen. I always like to take a can of fly spray with me, as well as a brush or two. If you have a fake tail you want to take something with to help fluff that out, make it look natural as much as a fake tail ever does. And also a rag to wipe off your boots, wipe off your horse in case they sneeze and get boogers all over. You know how it goes. So, you want to have all your tag and equipment. If you're putting earplugs on your horse, make sure you do that before you get on. Make sure, always check your cinch before you go in the pen, before you get on. Always do that. If you're wearing chaps, make sure you go to the bathroom beforehand. Thank me later. And most important is your number. For all riding classes, it is required for you to have your number on both sides of your saddle pad, which is why you were given two. I personally like to take duct tape and put that on the back of my pad, especially where the pins go through, because these numbers have to last you, depending on if you're doing both all the game events and the English, 4 or 5 days. So you want to make sure that you keep your numbers in as good a shape as possible. You do not want to put clear tape over the top of your number, like on the side where the number is, because that will reflect in the light and then the judge can't read your number, and it's, annoying for them. So don't laminate or put clear tape over the number, just put duct tape or clear tape on the back side. So let's get into the pattern. For the 9 and up, I'm just going to read through the pattern and then we'll talk more about it. So this cone is just me adding a cone because that was for me to be like, this is where you're starting. So start before the logs. I would give myself a couple horse lengths, enough room that the horse can see the poles and the bridges in front of them, but not so much that you're like, having to walk all the way from the door up to the cones. As far as when you should enter, I would walk up probably when the person in front of me is here doing their trot through the cones and the gate bit. So you're starting here. You're going to walk through these. Now it says walk over logs, but based off how they are crossed like this, they're going to be somewhat elevated. So make sure, first and foremost, you are there for the trail walkthrough. For any grade, make sure you are there for the trail walkthrough. And definitely using your feet, figure out the spacing between your logs and the bridge, and the spacing between these logs. How much space is here in the box? How far apart are these cones? How much room do you have here? Make sure you do that. So you're going to walk over the logs, walk over the bridge, lope right lead over 2 logs. You're going to break to the jog around and through the box. You're not stopping in the box or pivoting. You are just going to jog straight through it. You are then going to jog, weave cones to the gate. You are then going to open and close with a left hand push gate, meaning that your left hand will be the one opening and closing the gate. And once you're done with the gate, the pattern's done. For those of you, let's see, probably only like 8th and 9th graders were there in, 8th and 9th graders were there in 2019. You guys should look at this pattern and be like, praises, like so happy, because normally the trail pattern it's always in the egg star. And in the past, in my personal view, in previous years, the pattern feels very elaborate for the amount of room that is in the egg star. So I am like so happy for all of you showing, because this pattern is going to fit very nicely in the trail pen. So let's talk about how to handle things. So if these are actually crossed over each other, that means the middle is going to be 2 poles high. So it's essentially treated as an elevated pole. So that means when you're at the outdoor pen warming up, make sure someone like lifts some of the poles or like has them raised a little bit, and you walk your horse over some raised poles, and try and get them picking up their feet if you can, so that way they don't just come through and like knock all of them over, for your sake, for scoring, as well as the people that are probably going to be sitting somewhere over here in chairs that will have to run over here and fix them. But you're going to walk over the logs and then walk over the bridge. I never felt like the bridge at State was like that scary. There's no like sides or anything crazy on it, so it should be pretty easy. So you're going to pick up the lope. So note that they don't necessarily say in trail, like halfway between this obstacle and this obstacle, you need to do this, because depending on how far things are from each other and where exactly they put things, that like changes stuff. So what I would do is I would be looking at something down here and walk over the bridge, get my horse off the bridge. I would get contact with the reins, kind of get their face, set them up for the lope, and then lope off. If you want to make the pattern have a bit more, I should say, increase your degree of difficulty. Basically, what that means is, say, we have this turn here to then come into the poles. If you make this wider to give yourself more room, that is easier than making this a shorter turn. Personally, for everybody in the 6th, 7th grade, probably into 8th and 9th grade, that's watching this, I would say you can use your space down here, and make sure when you do this curve, you look ahead, plan where you're going, and you should try and get right dead center in the middle of these poles when you lope over them. So, when I was talking about the walkthrough, this right here is probably the most important place that you measure and see how far it is. A lope over is between 6 and 7 feet for 1 stride. If it is a 2-stride lope over, which let me flip to this pattern. If you look, the poles are in this drawing the same distance apart, but there's 3 here. Here there's only 2. So I'm assuming this is going to be a 2-stride lope over, meaning you put a stride in here. So they're not going to be over a pull, over a pull. They're going to be over a pull, stride, over a pull. And that is important because you don't want to get your horse in here at such a big strided lope that they come in and try and only do one stride in here. Otherwise they're going to be jumping and you're going to need to hold on. So you want to make sure that you see how far this is. If it's a 1 or a 2 stride, count it out. If it's 6 or 7 feet, it's 1 stride. If it's 12 to 14 feet, it is a 2 stride. Taking that into account, practice it if you can, So you're going to lope over them. I would lope past the pole a little bit, get contact with them again, have a nice transition down into the jog. And from here, it's pretty easy, really. Your most difficult part is probably going to be this, and maybe this, we'll talk about it. In a jog, just going to jog through the box. Box is typically 6 feet, so it's going to be a 2 stride jog through here. Nothing too crazy. Don't let your horse break on either side, and also don't let them just plow through it. So, depending on how much room you have, excuse me, again, this is probably hour 2.5 of talking through patterns. So, needed to get some water. Okay, so depending on how much room you have between your box and these cones is going to change things. So, normally, these cones are going to be approximately 9 feet apart. So from cone here to here, it's 9 feet. From here to here is 9 feet. Could it be farther? Yes. I do not think it will be shorter. So it is very important you measure how much space you have here, how much space you have here, and how much space is in the box when you are doing your walkthrough, because that will determine how sharply you need to make these turns. Personally, I like to treat these, and for those of you that game or have ever done pulls, treat it a bit more of like doing a sideways motion through here with your horse staying facing straight. However, if you're really young and you've never really done any of this, you can do a bit more of a loop in here, especially since this last cone, you're probably going to want to come around here, and this is going to probably be a fairly tight turn here. Depends on how they set it up. In here to this gate, you want to make sure that you trot up next to it. You want to try and trot up straight next to the gate, close enough that you don't have to side pass over. If you do, it's not the end of the world. Ideally, you don't want to have to side pass over. You should just stop with you, the rider, even with the place where you would pick up your rope or the gate to like move it. So I'm going to do my best to explain how to go through the gate with a pointer. So you, the rider, are here. Your horse's head is here and their tail is here. You are going to pick up the gate. You're going to back until you, the rider, are even with the other side of the post. I am assuming this is going to be a rope gate. It is possible that it will be a solid gate. The only difference, if it is a solid versus rope gate, is if it is a solid gate, you are just going to slide your hand down towards the hinge area of the gate. You are then going to ask your horse to just walk a half circle. Now, obviously, if it is a solid gate, you're going to have to ask your horse to walk around. And ideally, you are just going to slide your hand over the gate. You're not going to let go of it and pick it up again. You never want to lose contact with your hand to the gate. Again, I assume it's a rope gate, so you just walk a little half circle. You, the rider, are even here, your horse's head is here, and you're going to just back them up again straight and put the rope back or the gate back, and you've closed the gate and you're done. Yay! So that's all I have for the trail. Pretty self-explanatory pattern. Have fun. Trail 10. I'm going to tell you to literally go back and watch the 6 through 9 because it is exactly the same pattern except for 2 things. So watch that, and Then you're going to watch this and I'm going to just tell you how to do these two things. So go do that. Okay, cool. So you've done that. These logs are going to be elevated. Practice that out in the warm-up pen. Here, for your walkthrough, you are going to count. I assume this is going to be a 6-foot stride and another 6-foot stride. So practice that in the warm-up pen, loping over 3 poles in line. It is possible that these would be 2-stride lope overs, however I severely doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be lope over pull, lope over pull, lope over pull. No stride in between, unlike the 6-9. Here, you're going to break to the jog around. Once you're facing the box, you're going to walk. Try not to hear between your jog to walk, like let them stop. Just have it be a walk transition. Don't like stop and then walk forward. Walk into the box. So, it says you can turn in either direction. Pick whichever way is better for your horse. Now, they draw you coming in the center. Don't do that. So, what you're going to actually do is I am assuming you are going to turn to the left. So, if you're going to turn to the left, you're going to enter on the right side of the box. You are then going to just turn to the right and walk out again. Why you enter on the side rather than directly in the middle is because if your horse's body is here and you pivot, they have more room to turn. And then you'll move the hindquarters, then you'll move the front, then you'll move the hindquarters, and then you'll just walk out. Simple. If you're turning to the right, enter on the left side of the middle and do the same thing, just the other direction. Then going to do a nice trot through. Again, see how far apart these cones are. That will help you in the warm-up pen. See how far your cone is to the gate. Take that into account. And then it's literally the exact same as the 6-9. So, good luck. Have fun. Congratulations on getting down to state. That is all that I have for trail for everybody. I am now going to finish and do the equitation, and hopefully I can get all the patterns posted today, which is the 17th, so that way you guys have plenty of time to watch them. But they are taking a very long time to load to YouTube, so I will update you. Either you can check my Facebook or you can check the MQHA 4-H Bootcamp. Please spread the word to all your friends and people in your county about these. That way more people get a chance to see them. Yeah, have fun. Good luck. Pet your horse. Thank your parents or whoever's brought you down there. Drink lots of water and eat healthy. Get some sleep. Goodbye.